Our grass was cut the other day. I know this because I heard the lawnmowers outside. You could hear the lawnmower going back and forth. You could hear the noise the lawnmower makes. I did look out the window. I'd seen lawnmowers before. I didn't have to figure out what they were going to do. They were going to go back and forth. It was predictable. It was known. It was common. It was a lawnmower. It wasn't a motorcycle. Motorcycle, I might have looked out the window. A motorcycle might have made me see what's going on out there. I've lived in rectories where motorcycles came up to our place and guys would ride motorcycles around the parking lot doing wheelies, going fast, skidding tires. I've seen that. I've heard that. I've looked out the window to see what's going on, who's out there. I've noticed that with motorcycles. I never do that with lawnmowers. We have about 400 priests in this archdiocese, and all, to my knowledge, 3 of them ride motorcycles. The rest of us are boring in cars. But there's a few guys who ride motorcycles, and I suppose there's others around the country that do the same thing, because one of them wrote an article about it. It was his day off. He was dressed in civvies. He was in a motorcycle shop looking at the newest brand, a Honda 750, which I have no idea what that is, but he must have been impressed by it. And he's standing there looking at it, and the sales guy comes up. Oh, it's a great motorcycle, he says. This is the thing. It goes fast. It accelerates. It's got all the bells and whistles. Oh, people will notice you on this thing. He said, even the girls will take a look at you. And the guy said, well, you know, that's nice, but actually, I'm a priest. Oh, well, in that case, the motorcycle is very practical, and it gets good gas mileage, and you'll really appreciate its strength and stability. It's a good, sensible thing to have. And the priest, had this idea, like the guy thinks we have no fun, like we are constantly boring. That's how priests are. And he took that to another level, another step. He said, well, is that how people think about the church? Is the church considered a lawnmower? Slow, plodding, sane, predictable, routine. Is that what people think about our church? Why don't they think of us as lawnmowers? Out there, grabbing attention, making noise, having people look out the window to see what's going on, who's out there. Someone who's seeing a motorcycle, how fast and how far can this baby go, and revving it up. Taking risk. Why is not the church looked upon like that? Why do they look at us as lawnmowers? Peter is one who's going to take a risk. We hear it in today's gospel. Jesus has just fed 5,000 people with a couple of pieces of bread and some fish. And after this marvelous miracle, the crowd is dismissed, and Jesus makes the apostles get into a boat. Go over there, he said. Go to the other side. I'm going to go up the mountain. I'm going to pray. And pray he does. And while he's praying, the storm comes, and the winds grow, and the waves are violent, and the boat is tossed about, and the apostles are filled with fear. They're a few miles off the shore, and here comes Jesus walking toward them. Walking 3 miles on the water. Now that's some kind of power, that's some kind of miracle that Jesus could walk a few miles on the water. And when the apostles see him, they are concerned, they are afraid, they yell out, they scream out, they're terrified. It's a ghost coming toward them, and Jesus has to assure them, it's just me, it is I, take courage, don't be afraid. Peter is going to test this. Peter's going to try this out. He's going to take the risk. He stands up. He's on the edge of the boat. You can hear the other apostles saying, what are you doing? Sit down. You're dangerous. You're going to get hurt. And Peter jumps into that water without a life jacket. Even if they had a life jacket in the ancient world, maybe they did, but he didn't wear it, I'll bet you. He jumped in there without the life jacket. But his problem is, the mistake he made, that he also jumped in there with his anxiety, and with his worry, and with his fear. He also jumped in there with the idea that maybe this will work, or maybe it won't. And quickly, all that takes over. All his courage disappears and all his worry surfaces, and he begins to sink. But as Jesus would later say, Peter had little faith. And that little faith allowed him to cry out to Jesus and say, "Help me," which is remarkable. I mean, we know from John's gospel that Peter knew how to swim. Why didn't he just swim back to the boat? Why did he ask Jesus to help him do something he already knew how to do? That's the little faith, the recognition, the admittance. I can do this, but it's better if I ask Jesus to help me do it. And Jesus did. They went back to the boat. The sea calmed down, and the faith went out. Away from the water, away from the dangerous water. Which really is where Jesus wants us to be. In the dangerous water, in the rough waters. There were some guys that they were on vacation. They went to Africa, to Zimbabwe, the Zambezi River, which is near a waterfall, and we can float down this river, and when you do, the waters can get very rough. The rapids can accelerate quickly, and the guy's telling them, the tour guide, now when your boat flips over, he says, not if your boat flips over, but when your boat flips over, don't go to the shore. Don't swim for the bank. Stay out there in the rough waters. Stay out there where the waters are churning, where it's dangerous. Well, why do that? I mean, why stay out here where we could get our head knocked against some rock? Why wouldn't we just go over there on the shore where things are calm and the water is peaceful? Because that's where the alligators are. So you don't want to go over there where the alligators are. You want to stay here in the deep water, in the churning water, in the rough water. Jesus chose to walk on rough water. So did Peter. And so do we. We could stay over there where it's calm and nothing really happens. Or we could be disciples of Jesus Christ who get out there where things are tough, where there's persecution, where there's temptation, where there's apathy, where there's sin. We could get out there in the rough water where there are crosses to bear, crosses that we are willing to carry. Or we could be lawnmowers, safe, predictable, routine, slow. Or we could be motorcycles, risk takers, going quickly, drawing attention, with this faith of ours to see how far and how fast this baby can go.